Frosty the Snowman was a jolly happy soul with a corncob pipe and a button nose, 2 eyes made out of coal. Frosty the Snowman was a fairy tale, they say. He was made of snow, but the children know how he came to life one day. There must have been some magic in that old silk hat they found. But when they placed it on his head, he began to dance around. Frosty the Snowman.
What is going on? I am Jason. Welcome to another episode of Historically Marked, another Graves edition. And this time I am in Kaiser, West Virginia at the Queens Point Cemetery just southeast of town. And I'm visiting the grave of a famous songwriter. Well, I don't really know how much of a household name he was, but I'm sure you're familiar with some of his songs. Some of them you probably sing around the holidays. Frosty the Snowman as being one of them. Plus, he also wrote some country tunes as well. And the guy I'm talking about is Jack Rollins, and he is buried here in the cemetery. I'll go ahead and check it out. So yes, this cemetery is very huge. I mean, it's not even marked on Find a Grave. I mean, he is listed under the famous interments on Find a Grave, but unfortunately there's not a GPS or mapped grave, and obviously it would have been like finding a needle in a haystack, the whole grave. But luckily his was actually not that hard to find after I took a couple drives around the cemetery. As a matter of fact, it's right here. The snowman did not give it away. And it looks like somebody dug a big hole, or maybe it was a big, I don't know, a mole or something. But Walter Jack Rollins, well, on his Wikipedia and other pages, you know, his first name is listed as Walter, but on the grave it says Jack W.E. Rollins, so I don't know. Well, let's just call him Jack. Alright, so he is best known for writing the lyrics to Peter Cottontail, which of course is a popular Easter song, Frosty the Snowman, and Smokey the Bear. I did not know Smokey the Bear was a song, but apparently during the early 1950s it was actually a jingle, and Smokey the Bear, of course, is the mascot for preventing forest fires in parks. But he was the lyricist. Now, he was also technically he was part of a songwriting team, and his partner was Steve Nelson. Steve Nelson would write the lyrics. I'm sorry, he would write the music, put the music down, and then Rollins would just definitely have those lyrics ready and have them out there. So, other songs he wrote were just country songs. I mean, some may have crossed over, but old names like Gene Autry, Hank Snow, Eddie Arnold, during that era, during the 1940s and 50s. Now that song, I Don't Hurt Anymore, which went to #1 on the Billboard charts, on the country charts, that was a big hit for Hank Snow. And for Eddie Arnold, A Prison Without Walls. As far as Rollins, he was born September 15th, 1906 in Scottsdale, Pennsylvania. And he died January 1st, New Year's Day, in 1973 in Cincinnati, Ohio. He was inducted into the West Virginia Music Hall of Fame in 2011. And I was actually trying to look up where that place was, but unfortunately it's not really an actual place as of yet, but it's an organization, rather. Frosty the Snowman was written in 1950, and I think Peter Cottontail was also written around that time as well. And why is he buried here out in the mountains? I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a very beautiful cemetery. I mean, looking at the hills and mountains and everything, it's just very cool. But his family actually moved to Kaiser when he was little. Like I said, he was born in Scottsdale, Pennsylvania, and this was back when he was like 3 or 4 years of age. But in later years, when he was, you know, doing his music and songwriting career, of course, he moved to different places. But he did always make trips back here to visit his family. His brother, I think, lived here all of his life. At least that's what a biography page said. So I'm gonna see. Okay, these are permanently installed here. Nobody can take them. Very nice. They look like the kind that my grandma used to have. You know what I mean? Which is fine. I like those kind of ceramic snowmen. I'm gonna get closer to the grave real quick. I gotta go up this ridge real quick. Alright, here's a little close up, and it almost looks like the grave's about to tip back because of that right there. And it doesn't say when his wife passed away or if she's even buried here. I mean, she was born in 1900, but then yeah, that's kind of odd, but oh well. That's all I gotta say about that. And then Peter Cottontail. I'm sure that's there permanently. But the cemetery workers, I'm sure they don't mind. I don't know how many people visit this grave. But like I said, I don't even know if people even know how to find it, because it wasn't mapped on Find a Grave, but I was lucky enough to find it. But thank you for bringing joy to the world. And no, that's not a pun. I mean, this was during a time when people were writing legendary Christmas songs that we learned as kids. And I was an 80s child, and we sang these songs when I was in grade school and church. And of course, Frosty the Snowman is not a religious Christmas song, but that and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Up on the Housetop and a bunch of others, you know, those became part of the holiday songbook, and his songs are being sung today. But rest in peace, Mr. Jack Rollins, who wrote many great songs that continue to be part of our songbook today, the American Songbook. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Historically Marked. I am Jason in Kaiser, West Virginia at Queens Point Cemetery, visiting the grave of Jack Rollins, the American songwriter. Signing off.